Hello, world. My name is Scott, or as I affectionately call myself, the bitter old queen. Okay. Um, I'm not a therapist or a professional or a political scientist. Okay. My comments and suggestions are anecdotal only. Okay. Um, we have a problem, world. Narcissism. Okay. Um, I'd like to present my take on narcissism. Okay. Kind of a primer, so to speak, or kind of a relatively deep dive into it a little bit here. Okay, and I feel like I need to speak out on this because of the times that we're living through right now. Okay, it's kind of everywhere. It's in the media a lot lately, and we've been under, as a society here and as a world almost, we have been under the constant emotional abuse of the orange menace in the White House. Okay, and also this stuff, it's been, like I say, in the zeitgeist with adult children going no contact with parents and Dems going no contact with their MAGA relatives. And also, people are deconstructing from religion all over the place. Okay. But the real reason I'm doing this, the thing that lit a fire under me, so to speak, was because I recently had a narcissistic injury reopened after like 25 plus years, where I hadn't barely even thought about it. And anyway, this came up and I started thinking about it and I got so twisted angry about it and everything. And I thought, oh my goodness. So I decided to look up what had happened on YouTube University here. And took me 20 minutes to figure out I had been a victim of narcissistic abuse and scapegoated. Okay. At the time, I had gone no contact with this person for my own mental health. Okay. And I was glad, though, that I figured this out, what had happened. I'm glad it was over. And I put it away since, but I was shocked at how years later, just thinking about it could be traumatic, or at least dramatic. Okay. Okay. So, but the more I learned about narcissism, the more I said, oh my goodness, I started seeing it everywhere, not just all over the media and in politics and everything, but in, stuff like former teachers, professors, former neighbors, former friends, former coworkers, and especially family. Okay. I actually think we need an education campaign on this. Okay. Because there are a lot of people that are suffering the abuse of narcissism. Okay. And I'll be talking about narcissism in a personal and a political lens, okay? Kind of intermixing the two because they're so closely related, these days especially. So, and narcissism has always been a part of civilization. It's been responsible for the rise and fall of many civilizations, okay? Some narcissism isn't that bad, okay? There's this thing, primping and taking care of oneself and going to the gym and everything. That narcissism is not the kind of narcissism I'm talking about here. Okay, self-care is not that or abundance of it. I'm talking about something a lot darker. Okay, and what's funny is when I started, making an outline for this and researching it a bit, my partner said to me, "Oh, do you think I'm a narcissist?" After I discussing with all this stuff with him, and I said, "Absolutely not. Because you can apologize to me. I mean, just a couple days ago, you came home from somewhere and you apologized to me for something, and I appreciated that so much because it makes me feel, so like so good that you can say you're sorry and apologize." So anyway, I'm very lucky in that regard, and I'm the same with him. It's just easier. Okay. Main traits of a narcissist, though, are grandiosity, self-importance, lack of empathy, need for admiration and validation. Okay, sound like anybody you know? They're entitled, you know, but mostly they want control and power over you. Okay, over time, they want you conditioned or trained, so that you won't step out of line. Okay, and your feelings be damned. They don't care about your feelings. Okay, usually the person abusing the narcissist the person the narcissist is abusing is called the empath in the psychology speak here. Okay, so when you start learning about it, the empath is the one being abused. It's one of the many terms you'll hear if you start familiarizing yourself with it. Okay, it's funny though, I keep hearing it and all kinds of political speech all over the place. I hear these words, buzzwords that I've heard in the videos from narcissism. So I'm glad people seem to be waking up. Okay, narcissists are always looking for supply. They call it narcissistic supply for their fragile egos. Okay? They want you to pay attention to them, to service their needs and all their wants, and care for them. Okay? It could be everything from, cooking and cleaning to sex, depending on what you got to do to keep whatever, the world from whatever. Supply can also be arguing. Narcissists seem to love to argue, and as a matter of fact, it it the energy that you expend in the argument is like fuel to them. So don't do it. Don't give it to them. Okay? There are different kinds of narcissism here too. I'll talk about these three. There's the malignant type, covert, and communal. Okay? The malignant type is like the bully. Okay, we all know what that is. The covert type is the victim, the fragile person who's always persecuted, right? And what's funny is that most narcissists are a combo. They're the bully until they don't get their way, and then all of a sudden they're the victim. So you probably know this one, right? Communal narcissism, though, that is the Trump cult. Okay, that is a religious cult. Okay, or another personality cult. Religious cults are personality cults. Okay, or it could be a family cult. Okay, where some grand dame or some sister-in-law or father runs everything, and nobody has a say in anything, and everybody stays in line. There's usually a narcissist in that family. So the hallmark of being in a cult, though, whether it's a family or religious or political cult, is you suspend reality to believe in something you know is not true. Okay, and even in your heart and your mind, you know it's not true. But it challenges, the beliefs of your dear leader or whatever. And to me, it's the worst form of intellectual laziness to not care about reason and logic and facts, and to just to make if it's easier to just go along and stay in the bubble. Ugh, what a pathetic life. Okay. Now, I just have to say something too about eye rolls. Okay? Eye rolls are universal. All over the world, everyone knows what an eye roll means. It means contempt. It means the person thinks they're above you. Okay? In reality, though, is they are feeling low. So if they can make you feel bad, it makes them feel better. So basically, they call that projection. Okay? They're feeling low. So if they do that to you, it makes them feel better. Okay? It's a very bad sign in couples. If you see couples arguing and rolling their eyes, if your partner is rolling their eyes, if a marriage counselor sees that in a session between two people trying to put a marriage back together or something, the signs are not good. Okay? Unfortunately, narcissism, uh, the prevalence is 20 to 25% of the population. That means one out of every 4 to 5 people. Okay? There's a technique narcissists use. It's called DARVO. This is a universal thing too. Okay, it was discovered in the 1990s by psychologists who were studying sexual assaulters. Okay, and the paradigm fit narcissism to a T. Okay, DARVO stands for, it's an acronym for deny, attack, reverse, victim, and offender. Okay, that's DARVO, deny, attack, reverse, victim, and offender. Okay, what that means, you might know what this is like. Someone will hurt your feelings, and you'll go to them and say, "You hurt my feelings." And before you know it, you're apologizing to them, and they're the victim when you were originally the one who was just looking for an apology. That is DARVO, okay? Gaslighting, too, which is making you doubt your reality. Scapegoating, which is you're the out person on the outs, okay? Or triangulation. It's always a three-way, okay? It's that, and politically too, okay? If the narcissist themselves can't shame you personally, okay, they'll send in their enablers, or what they call in the business flying monkeys, okay, who will try to distort your reality. They'll tell you you didn't hear what you heard, saw what you saw, or felt what you felt, okay? Um, Another thing, I've looked at tons of videos about narcissism, and some of the saddest ones. are where it's narcissistic in-laws and children are involved. It's just heartbreaking some of the stories you'll hear. Oh, anyway, when you're find somebody, you're dating and this and that, if your partner can't see that his mother or father or sister or somebody is a narcissist, you are in for a world of hurt. Okay? Because if they don't see it, they won't see it. Okay? So, scientists have discovered, though, that there are brain differences in narcissists. Okay? There's the amygdala part of the brain, and it lights up like a Christmas tree. It's part of the fight or flight thing. Okay? If you injure someone's ego, okay, or say something against their belief system or something like that, it's like ding, 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 ding. Like they won something on The Price is Right or something like that. It lights up and it tells them, oh my gosh, threat, 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 that kind of thing. And they'll lash out at you. Okay. It's the same for conservatives and hyper religious people and misogynists and sexists and racists too. Okay. Maybe we should study this amygdala thing and figure this out. Maybe there's something that can be done. Okay. Not, unfortunately, narcissists, they see the world in a certain way here. They see people as you're either a sheep or a wolf, and they think they're the wolves. Okay, but to me, they're like poodles on the linoleum in a thunderstorm. Okay, they are the real snowflakes. If you challenge them at all, they just fall to pieces. Okay, they can't think for themselves, and they just spout the dear leader's propaganda. And they take it personally. Even though they so dumb. So I think it's weird too. I think that these people have a strange attraction to Trump. Okay. I think some of these men, especially, it like stirs them in their loins to see Trump, you know? I mean, after all, he is basically a drag queen. Okay. So politically, though, they call this the Gish Gallop, where it's just round and round and round. Okay. And we have to be done with this crap. Okay. Um, the point of it is to never get a resolution to anything. And it's so far, look where we're at. Okay, things just get worse. Okay, the Republicans, they call it owning the libs. Okay, but recently I heard a Gen Z conservative uh, guy say, "I don't care about owning the libs anymore. I want to own a house." So I wish the Republicans would hear that. Okay, so what can we do about all this crap? Well, it's never too late to start standing up to a narcissist or a bully. Okay, but be careful. Okay, you don't want to lose your job. You don't want to create any unnecessary drama or anything like that. Educate yourself first. Okay, look at your role and other people's roles in it. But first realize nobody's changing. The only one that's going to change is you. Okay, so you have to navigate that. Okay, start recalculating, realize the damage that's done, save yourself and your self-esteem. Okay, they call this radical acceptance when you finally realize, yeah, this is what it is. Okay, it's a new normal. Okay, you all of a sudden you'll start seeing things like, oh my God, but it's literally a new form of being woke. But this time you're woke for yourself. Okay, there are ways to handle this though. There's no contact. We know what that is, and then there's gray rocking, or it's basically you just emotional nothing. You don't get upset about anything, and you set boundaries and you stick to them. Okay, but be prepared because they could lash out at you. Okay, or like my mother, she was the OG of guilt tripping, and it was just, oh boy, some of the damages uh, that I see from to society from narcissism. Okay, how about our predatory economic situation, completely set up by narcissists? How about our racist Supreme Court? We have six narcissists sitting there, racist to the core. About life expectancy, depending on what state you live in. If I were living in a red state where you only live to 75, I would be PO'd right now to know that people in blue states are living into their 80s, like 82 in some states, okay? Or 81.9 in one state. So that is pure narcissism. They have convinced you because you live in a red state, you don't deserve to live as long. I think you should take these people to task. Just me though, okay? How about this one? Our world is a century behind because of the Catholic Church. from 400 to 1400, virtually no discoveries were made because anytime somebody made a discovery, they took them out and killed them. They wanted no progress. They wanted everything exactly the same. That's narcissism. Okay? How about original sin? That's another stupid one that they used to use as a narcissistic tool. And people used to believe that crap. Okay? So, but when you're taking on narcissism, you might have to take on religion too. Okay? Especially if in a church where women are good enough to clean the pulpit, but they're not good enough to preach from it. Okay? Maybe you want to think about that one. Okay? Right now, though, it's the billionaires we're up against. Okay? They've been even trying to use religion as a way as a tool to get what they want. Okay? And they keep bringing up the old days of capitalism, but what they really want, they want to exploit our labor for starvation wages. They want us to get this crappy, expensive healthcare. They want us to, have toxic food and water and never own a damn thing. This is what they want. And I say F them all, and we need to stand up against them. So, but first, I just have to say this: if you're recovering from narcissism or emotional abuse of any kind, okay, you're not too sensitive, okay, you didn't misunderstand anything, okay, you heard what you heard, you saw what you saw, and you felt what you felt. Don't let anyone ever try to distort your reality again, okay? You're allowed to have your feelings and your thoughts, and no one is allowed to tell you what to think or feel about anything. Okay? In my next video, I'm going to talk about growing up in a house full of, well, I'll say several narcissists. Okay? From a very young age, I knew I would have to get away from these people. I knew that, when I became an adult, this is not what I wanted. Okay? I didn't hate these people, but I just knew I would have to have like controlled access. They would have to have controlled access to me as an adult for my own mental health. I knew that. Even as a little kid, I knew that. So the truth teller is always the one who's persecuted. Let me just give you three quick examples. But my dad died when I was 15. A few months before he died, I said to him, Dad, your legs look terrible. There's something going on with your legs. Don't you think you should go to the doctor and have it checked out? And he looked at me and basically told me where to shove it. My mother too. She was cold all the time. We put up with this. The house was, 82 degrees in the winter and never would let us put on the air conditioner. And she was always cold. And I would say to her, Mom, go to the doctor and get checked. She waited till I was 18 years old, right after I left home. And finally she went and got checked and it was an iron deficiency. They gave her the pills and she was fine after that. So how about another one? We got a new microwave, 1980. I say to my brother, don't put that cup in there. It has the ink on it has gold. It's gold, and that's going to spark because there's metal in it. And he told me, you don't know what you're talking about. Puts water in the cup, puts it in the microwave, sparks all over the place. Thank goodness the microwave didn't blow up. But this is what the truth teller gets. Okay. So politically, though, we're no longer living in a fool's paradise. Okay. There are 77 million people who voted for this. Okay. And most of them are still in the cult. They're ride or die. Okay. The sooner we realize that they're not changing, the better. Okay. Two family members will come forward. They'll come out and they'll say, well, how can you not talk to somebody because of who they voted for? And that is not the reason that I won't talk to a Trumper. The reason I won't talk to them is because they've shown me their character. Just by telling me you voted for Trump, you've shown me who you are. I need to know nothing more about you. I don't want to know anything about you. Okay? So, family is no reason to put up with toxic behavior from anyone. You are allowed to not associate with people you don't want to associate with, too. Okay? I see it as giving aid and comfort to the enemy at this point. These Trumpers have put us through hell for 10 years. I'm not ready. I'm not ready to make nice. It's not going to happen. So don't be fooled. Okay, their narcissism has been activated. And a lot of these people won't come back no matter how bad it gets. They will believe this until the end, until they're living under a bridge. Okay? Until they are living under a bridge, they will still be, yeah, yeah, rah, 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 Trump. Okay? And probably even then, they'll still be cheering for Trump. Uh, But it really what it is, when they come back to you, they don't want to be in the losing side anymore. Okay? But they are too stupid to be in your life. Don't let them in your life. Okay? They'll also use DARVO. They'll say, but I'm coming back to you and I'm asking for you to apologize and you won't accept my apology. So you're the bad one. Remember, this is 10 years of this abuse. Okay? 10 year do what I do. I have the 10-year rule. Come back to me in 10 years. When Trump is out of office, count 10 years and then come back to me. Okay? They want your empathy. Okay? They want your energy and all that stuff. Don't give it to them. It reminds me of an old classic Star Trek episode. And there was an entity on the ship and it would get stronger the more they fought and argued and stuff. That's what we have here. Okay? This is like we've been taken over by this crazy force, or something. And if anyone else remembers the old Star Trek episode, it was a really cool one. So, but like I said before, I'm not a political scientist. I'm just a bitter old jaded queen from New York City, okay? Who's heard and seen more than a lot of people out there, okay? But this is our mission, should we accept it? Taking on the narcissist politically and in our personal lives, okay? You need to do your research first, okay? Because it could be unsafe. But politically, we're in a new normal and we need to rise up and not just take things back. We need to move things forward. We need to be done with these old ways and we need a whole new beginning. Okay? We have to unite and take on the billionaires and the corporations and all these corrupt, bought, and paid for politicians. We need to make sure no foreign money or corporate money is allowed in any elections. I'm speaking of you, APAC, and every corporation in America who's bought off a politician. And that is literally almost all of them. Uh, anyway, I have some playlists you might be interested in. One is called Sanity, which I barely have these days. The other is narcissism, and another one is about religion. It has all these topics that I've mentioned and more. So check out all my playlists and see what you think. In my next video, like I said, I'll be talking about growing up in a house with several narcissists, okay, and how by some luck of the draw I ended up to be somewhat normal. We'll see. Jury's still out on that one. So but please check out my picks and posts in this section, okay? And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and take a look at all my videos and all that stuff, okay? So anyway, thank you for coming to court. It's been a great day to talk to you, and you have been dismissed. Have a great day.